here to speak about whatever you guys want to. I want to have a little bit of a chat about who won the summer transfer window. The poll currently saying Liverpool with 70% of the vote. You agree with that, Dave?
100%. And what you're saying, they have to win the Premier League. They put their chips all in here to make sure they get their 21st title. That's what they've done. It's pretty obvious. I mean, they've won the transfer window. Arsenal were close, I cannot lie, but for me, it's a no-brainer. Liverpool have to win the Premier League. The pressure's all on them. And this may be a good thing for Arsenal, actually. Like, them getting Isaac in the last little bit there. It's a shame they didn't get Gay, but that shows that they are going all in. They've won the transfer window without a shadow of a doubt.
No, I do agree with you. The expectations also got to be there. Anton, do you agree or disagree? Because I know that you've. I'm going to preface this by putting this out there. I saw your graphics. You think that Arsenal maybe have won it because you believe you've now got the most balanced and complete squad in the Premier League.
I do. Okay, like it's twofold because I do think that breaking the transfer window twice, like I have to kind of put my unbiased hat on as well. Try to be fair here. Breaking the British transfer window twice does put a lot of pressure on them, and that is something that's very unprecedented. But yeah, what I would say is that there are many different ways to judge a window, and one way I definitely judge a window is like from my team point of view. I forget about all the other teams. Is like I need X position, Y position, Z position, right? Have I filled all of those things? I got a shopping list. Have I come home from the grocery store with all the things that my wife put on the shopping list, or did I miss a few things? So like for me, Arsenal came home with everything on the shopping list ticked off, and Liverpool bought like a really, really nice car, but they forgot the tires. Oh shit! Like maybe the tires has been an extreme. Yeah. I'm trying to find something that they forgot home, but that would be depth on the wing because they sold Luis Diaz, which I keep saying and people keep forgetting. Remember when Luis Diaz was being sold and everyone's like, oh, they're going to go get Rodrigo now. They're going to go get some sort of winger. That winger never came in. They have a young 18-year-old now. I'm telling you, that kid's playing out well. He stepped up, scored a big goal. But to rely on that, you have a lot of games throughout this entire season. To rely on him to be able to come up with that every single time, or let's say you get a gap going down, and then all of a sudden he's stepping in. It's when Arsenal, if we lose Eze, we're still back to the wingers we had last year. Now, those aren't really good enough for me in general, but there's still like Premier League proven reliable options. Like Arsenal, we had like I said we reckon I need around 7 or 8 players. We got 8 players. We have depth in all of the positions. But think about it. They might brought Isak and Wirtz, right? But we brought Eberechi Eze, Victor Gyökeres, Martin Zubimendi, Incape, who I believe will be a starter on the left, and I swear by him, guys. Like seriously, he is going to surprise so many people with how good he is and how perfect he's going to fit in this league. And then as well, yeah, we got Madueke now solves our Saka problem in terms of depth. We have Norgard who comes in, and people who are saying that's a downgrade on Jorginho need to understand that Jorginho, like when we were in the semifinals of the Champions League and Partey was out, we had nobody to fill that role. Like I forgot exactly who was playing in the deep center midfield in that game, but yeah, it was a big issue. And so now at least Norgard is there. You know what I'm saying? Like
I hear where you're coming from. I look at it this way: Liverpool may have won the transfer window, but I don't think that's a reason for Arsenal fans to be angry because you still had a very good one. And I think we've created, and I do blame the manosphere. I do blame the Standards FC people that sort of, no, and I mean this. I don't even mean it in a horrible way. People that are, if what I've got isn't considered the best, I can't be happy with it. And there is this weird thing online at the moment in general life where accepting things that are not the absolute best is seen as a weakness, which is just ridiculous because you can't always win everything. And in reality, winning the transfer window at this stage is one thing. You actually want to win the transfer window come the end of the season when it actually works, because West Ham United were considered the winners of the transfer window a year ago by most people. They went, oh, you know what, pound for pound, everyone was like they had the best window. Didn't really work out for them in reality. A lot of us will say Sunderland have had a good window. They get relegated and Burnley stay up. We'll look back and go, shit window, really, weren't it? They wasted loads of money. So I do look at it from that perspective as well. I don't think Arsenal fans should be panicking. You probably had the best window in the history of your football club.
Well, my dad put it really well. I've said this about on 3 podcasts now, but I just thought it was so good. Like, Arsenal got everything they needed done in the window. Liverpool also got everything they believed they needed in the window. So we can only control how much we can control. Other factors is not something that we should really be worrying about. So this is what my dad said verbatim. And he's been watching football. My dad's like in his 60s. Yeah, he's been watching Premier League. He used to go out in the Highbury in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. He said, this is the greatest most talented Arsenal squad he's ever seen, and the most talented Liverpool squad he's ever seen. Let's see who comes out on top. Best Arsenal, best Liverpool. And that's all that, both of those clubs could have done. And you have to see what results out of that.
No, I totally agree. You put in a face, KJ. What's that? Go on.
Yeah, just the comment of the most talented squad that each club's ever seen. For me, it's hard to confirm that when I've seen Arsenal go invincible with a very highly talented squad as well. Like,
I think it was sort of in a different sort of way. Like we had, the Henrys, the Pierzes, the Vieiras, the Bergkamps, and they were incredible players. But I just don't think we had the depth as much as we do now. But we were really well coached. We had a lot of players who went to other clubs afterwards and were nowhere near as successful. Like sort of United, you had similar stuff as well. Like you got to think about it this way though. The need to have bigger squads was not as big back then as it is now.
You can't use that as comparative.
Just because you've got 30 players who are all talented now doesn't mean, well, because we didn't have 30 players as talented back then, now it's better. Because they didn't need 30 players back then.
You can't use that as an argument, because if that was the case, they wouldn't have gone invincible. Like, and that's where that argument ends. Like, straight up.
I think it's different between talent and great. So, like, great talent and great talent are different things.
Answer me this: would Henry get into your squad right now?
Of course.
Henry
is the greatest player ever. That's look. I'm not going to try to.
I'm just saying, all these players would get into your starting squad right now. I think it's that whole problem is recency bias. Recency bias is a big thing nowadays.
Maybe he was just too young to remember them.
But this is Anton. I was about to say, Anton, how old were you? How old were you?
Well, I was born in 92. It was 12.
Okay, so what I would say is this: you will remember it at 12 years old. But football feels different when you're 12 to what it does when you're an adult. I think we all look at it. You just look at the world different. You view things different. There's no way as a 12-year-old you assess football how you assess football. We all assess football today. It's very like when you're growing up as a kid. This is why I get confused by Man United fans at my age when you go, "Oh, who inspired you the most? Who are your favorite players as a kid?" And they name their top 20 and they don't mention a Man United player. Because when you were a kid growing up watching football, you didn't. We would have said Jasper Blomqvist was one of the best wingers in the league back when we were kids, because you just backed your team blindly, right? So you don't assess the same as a kid as you do when you're an adult in that regard. This is definitely one of the most talented Arsenal squads I've seen in the last 20 years. That's what. By the way,
there are many of these players that can make into that 11 for the Invincibles. Like Bukayo Saka would start ahead of Freddie Ljungberg for me, definitely. Like as an example. Yes, he would.
Who else would you put into the Invincible team?
I'd probably keep Sol Campbell. So one of Saliba and Gabriel.
Probably.
One of Saliba and Gabriel I would put next to Sol Campbell. I have to keep Sol Campbell in.
Only Saka and Rice gets into the Invincible team. Only Saka.
Rice gets in for sure next to
Rice gets in ahead of Gilberto Silva, and Saka maybe gets in ahead of Ljungberg. That is it, bruv. No one else.
You had obviously
Raya gets in. I wasn't afraid of.
Demon. Ryan gets in ahead
No,
of Demon.
Lehman was the goalkeeper.
Was it
in the
Lehman?
Invincibles.
Yeah.
It was
Wait, if I'm
Lehman.
correct, you guys did have Joe Cole at left back, right?
Ashley
Joe Cole, Ashley Cole. Sorry, Ashley Cole at
Yeah.
left back. Right? Yeah, no one's touching.
Right back, we got Loren. Like Timber would play. I would think Timber is better player than Loren.
That's recency, man. That is
That's
recency.
not.
It is what Terry said. It's because you viewed it differently back then. You've got more of a bias now because you're an adult.
Mm-hmm.
You also need to think
You're viewing football differently than what back then. You're probably just having fun with it. You're probably more out and about with your mates, and you weren't too fussed what was going on. But you're looking at it differently, 100%.
You've got to think about what they also bring into the squad as a whole, because you can't have every single player being a massive star boy. Like if you had a squad where you just had to say like Kylian Mbappe, Messi, Ronaldo, that is an amazing front line, but in actuality, it doesn't really work.
We played a team like that last year in the Champions League, and we beat them 5-1 on aggregate.
Yeah, but and also
exactly.
Well, you got to think as well. What were you trying to do? The style of football you're trying to play then compared to now? Because what Arteta does is very different to what Wenger was doing.
I reckon Arteta is more George Graham than he is Arsene Wenger.
Yeah,
he is, but I also find it interesting about the DNA. I remember Lee, I think it was Lee Gunner said this once, so I don't want to if it wasn't him, then I apologize. If it was, I'm giving him credit. I think people were complaining about style of football at the club, and I don't remember who the manager was at the time. And he said, well, everyone goes on about the Wenger style, but that was only during the Wenger era. Prior to Wenger, Arsenal were renowned 1-0 to the Arsenal. That's still a chance. Because of how
Hassan was telling me about attacking football, that's what I wanted to say. Like I thought about that afterwards.
Which is why when I hear Man United fans talk about we want controlling midfielders and we want to dominate, we want to be more like peak Barca. I'm not against it because I'm not married to any particular style of football, but I often think, what made you fall in love with Man United in the first place? We've never really been that team. So I'm always I always sometimes feel like some of these fans, my opinion, pick Man United because the Premier League was bigger and more popular, but picked us because we were winning, and it was a way of boasting, but actually preferred teams like Barcelona to watch and support. Because you often listen to a lot of them and say, who are your favorite players growing up? And it's all the Barca legends. And they don't mention the United legends. And I'm like, I know that there's bias always in that. Everyone's top 10 players of all time. There's always a percentage of bias in all of it with players that because Newcastle fans that grew up in my era, your Alan Shearer could be there, but they're going to be throwing in Ginolas and maybe an Asprilla in there because you love those guys. It doesn't matter; they weren't really as good as the other players. So when I hear like certain United fans of my generation, like top 10 players, and they list like 5 Real Madrid and 5 Barca players and not one of their own, I often think, and they love a style of football that our club has never played. I always think, oh, did you pick us for the right reasons? I'm not sure. I wonder if they could go back and change that. They wish that when they moved into the social media world, I bet they wish they picked Barca or Real Madrid as the team they really supported. I just get this gut feeling.
I don't know. I never could support a Spanish team. Like I don't speak Spanish. Like it just doesn't feel like me. Like,
but even with the whole pick, like Real Madrid, you pick Real Madrid because they win, but not because of the football, because they change football all the time.
Sounds like what we call in America bandwagoning. Bandwagoning.
Yeah. There's a lot of bandwagoning in football, but that's what it is, because you got a lot of casuals. And listen, I've got no problem with casual fans. Like that's how the sport grows. The more casual fans you have, the more eyes get on it, and therefore people get into it more slowly over time. So I've got no problem with casual fans, but casual fans, because they're casual, will pick who are the biggest, who are the best, who are winning more, whose players score goals, so I can like them. That's basically what it is, and that's just human nature. When you get into F1, more time, like F1, I got into F1 because of Lewis Hamilton. I didn't know much more outside of Lewis Hamilton until I decided to take more time to watch the sport. Like it's just that's the way it is.